Hello, everybody. Hope everything's all right. Everything looks fine. Numbers are moving. Going down a little bit. This is monitoring Voice of America on 15580, which seems to have changed transmitter and signal's not as good. And we're going to take this closer with the SDR and the schedules. So here we go. Hey, everyone. Welcome aboard to this live show. This is a show that is once a month on the first Saturday of the month. So today, December 2nd, it says 3rd on the video that I posted. I corrected it, but YouTube doesn't correct it for some reason when you repost the link. So anyways, welcome aboard. And there will be 2 live shows this month because there's going to be a special Christmas show on Saturday, December the 23rd. So put that on your calendar. I will actually have access to the real Santa, the real one. So better put that on the calendar because it was tough to get him to do the show, and he's going to be here. So welcome, everybody. This is the radio show, the live show talking about radio, shortwave, about radio in general. And we are live from Montreal, Quebec, Canada, northeast part of North America. My name is Gilles, and we are just going to have fun talking about radio, answering questions, tuning the bands, and so on. Hope that everybody enjoys the show today. I will bring up a little something here because I want to have access to preamp for the number stations. See if we can hear some number stations. So in an hour's time, they're HM01, and there are probably going to be some other stuff. So we're going to check that out in an hour from now. So we, of course, have a beautiful chat room with wonderful people. If you want to join in, this is a great place to be, as it is a great gang. I mean, I think we have the best gang around. Just going to bring this closer here. So cheers, a little bit of lemonade. So, great place to be, and great people. So why not join in and say hello to everybody? And you can, of course, ask questions. And I think this is the best place for anybody that's new to the hobby, as we can easily and always have fun on answering questions, and everybody here is helpful, and we're just at a great place for that. And after all of this, well, there's a Facebook group which has the same name as the channel, official Shortwave channel, or SWL channel, and it is where the party continues. People posting through the week all sorts of things they're listening to, comments on propagation, on radio listening, on radio in general, and so on. So once again, another great gang there too, or somewhere around 3,600 members or so. And, this is where it's all happening. If you are interested in radio, and especially shortwave radio, there is a focus on shortwave radio. But, we can kind of put it at radio in general, and amateur radio also. So it's nice to be here. Hope everybody is going to have some fun. Here right now, it's about 32 Fahrenheit, 0 Celsius. It was snowing a little bit earlier, but we still see the green grass, but that's going to change quickly as tomorrow afternoon we're going to have a snowstorm that's going to start. Foot of snow is predicted from tomorrow Sunday afternoon until Monday afternoon. So about a foot of snow that we'll have in 24 hours, 30 centimeters. For Montreal, some places north of Montreal might even get up to 40, 45 centimeters, which is up to a foot and a half for some people, which is normal. That's winter here. And the rest of the week should be pretty rather cool and cold. So I took the time actually yesterday to go outside in the backyard and check the antennas, make sure that my end fed is going to withstand the winter months, because it's harder to, I can always fix it even in the winter months, but when it's minus 15 and you got to fix an antenna outdoors with 2 feet of snow in the backyard, it's not as fun and as easy as when there's no snow and it's kind of warmer. So I checked out, everything looks fine, so I should be okay for the winter. So that's going to be interesting. The little house next door, I was telling you last month that it was going to be put on sale, and it was actually put on sale, sold in I think 5 days. It's very quick. So apparently, I think I've met who will be there, because I was talking to the previous owner yesterday, and she was telling me it was a couple in their 50s, and I saw a couple in their 50s, and the lady waved and said hello, which I thought, well, if they are the new neighbors, it's starting off nice because she looks nice and said hello. So hopefully that's going to be okay, and hopefully they have no problems with cats, because Paul the cat and Mignon are always sleeping in their backyard in the summertime. So hopefully it's going to be okay. From what I know is they're going to keep the house the way it is, except they're going to make modifications. They're going to change stuff, modernize the house basically. They want to build a deck in the backyard and put a really big window in the front, because these are little houses that are very dark. There's not a lot of when they were built, there's not a lot of windows on these houses. So I think that's going to be good. So we'll see what happens and how all of that happens. And of course, probably, they purchased it, but probably all of that's going to happen maybe more. Inside the house, it's probably going to happen in the winter, but the outside, the deck and all of that, probably going to all happen in the spring. Let's hope it's not going to add interference. That's the biggest thing. New neighbor do sometimes equals new interference and new RFIs. So you maybe don't want that, but hopefully it's going to be okay. So it's nice to have everybody here. Nice to have everybody as usual. And once again, I'll repeat it a little later. There's a Christmas show on December the 23rd with Santa. Also, I want to talk about donations. If you do donations, we'll have a next Zoom meeting will be in January. So the next Zoom meeting in January, anybody that gives a donation through here or through PayPal, and I'll actually share the PayPal, will actually automatically be in the Zoom for January. And in January, the Zoom meeting is going to have a presentation. I want to do a little presentation, a PowerPoint presentation, talking about some of the shortwave radio stations that we have today, and give a little bit of details, technical details of their antennas and their broadcasts, and since when do they exist and all of that. So I'm preparing that, a little PowerPoint. And so we'll have the regular Zoom. We'll have, of course, in it that presentation where I'm going to share information about stations that are on the air today. And hopefully that will be interesting for some of you. And of course, we'll have the regular discussion and roundtable if you want. So anybody that donates, just make sure I have your email address, and I will be sending the links about 3 or 4 days before the event actually happens in January. So that's for any donations from starting pretty much, since the last Zoom that we had last week or 2 weeks ago, and until 2 weeks ago, until January. Matt, MDK2, nice to have you on board. We have UTV and Ham, KD9. Thank you for the donation, my friend, by the way, from Wisconsin. And happy holidays. Thank you so much for the contribution. Of course, you are in for the next Zoom meeting if you wish to attend. Zoom is fun because, we see each other, and it's kind of fun to have a different type of interaction than just a chat. Master Players Radio and Television plus Gaming. Nice to have you here from Morgan City, Louisiana. We have RJDA Dakota. Nice to have you on board from Winsville, Missouri. We have Torben Irvinson. Nice to have you here from Norway. We have VT Radio. Paul, nice to have you on board. AA1SU in Vermont. James Farley, nice to have you here in Old Bridge, New Jersey. KD2GUZ. We have Hooked 911. Nice to have you on board. Dwayne, nice to have you on board from Northeast Tennessee. No problem, Matt. And see you a little later. LVR Steelworks, nice to have you on board. How about you tune the bands and tell us what you find? Or if you don't know what it is, well, you can always post the frequency or something, and we can maybe I can check out in the schedules what's on the frequency. The X-Winger, nice to have you on board from Southeast Pennsylvania. We have Lawrence Gilmore, nice to have you on board. Merry Christmas. And nice to have you here from Boston. Hey there, Larry. Chuck, nice to have you on board. And 5 KVO from South Texas, cloudy and 69. David Flodman, nice to have you here from Central Missouri. Nice to have you on board. And a rare Saturday off. Cool. Shelly. Sorry. Shelly, nice to have you here from South Central Pennsylvania. And happy to hear the Christmas show. Yep, with Santa. K4AOL, nice to have you on board from West Tennessee. Ricardo, nice to have you here from Portugal. Nice to have you here as usual. Tom, nice to have you here from Monclova, Ohio. Pretty good to have you here. It's always nice to have you on board, guys. As usual. So my phone buzz. Apparently I'm live. Okay, here we go. We have Terrence. Nice to have you here from oops, lost this spot. Terrence, nice to have you here from New Jersey, KD2ANN. Torben is hearing something that sounds like bell sounds on 14023. You sure it's not a couple of Morse code signals that are kind of close together making tones? Sometimes, especially when there's a lot of our CW really close to each other, sometimes it can sound like weird tones and whistles and stuff. Joseph, nice to have you here from San Francisco Bay Area, California. Riding the radio waves on his PL368 and his Uniden BC125 AT scanner and various QESDRs. Nice to have you here. Shortwave Archive, nice to have you on board from Colorado. iMapper, nice to have you here from Moscow, Russia. Hooked. Picked up number station the other day on about 12,500 or so. Was surprising to hear one. So that's interesting. Around 12.5. Interesting. There's I've seen reports of because we have Priom, PRIYOM.org, which is a great place for number stations. I'm going to share the link here. And they have extensive schedules of the pirate stations. So here's the website, preom.org. Um, One of the things that I noticed more and more, and I don't know if it's because of the context of what's happening around the world right now, but more and more people are reporting number stations that are not listed there. So this is kind of interesting. I think a good tuning of the bands to see what's on is a good idea. And don't hesitate, because a lot of people focus on very specific things. Um, One of the things that I would say to not forget is to tune around um, outside of the regular international broadcast bands and so on. A lot of people stay focused on very specific bands, and often we don't hear anything on outside. But it's not because an example between about 12,000 to 13,500, you might not hear that much. But if you tune regularly, you'll notice that there's actually quite a lot of interesting stuff in there. It's just being there at the right place at the right time. Of course, if you get an SDR, it's even better because you can just, put your SDR, say, at 13,000 kilohertz and see the waterfall for like 12,000 to 14,000 or something, um, see what's in there. And when the signal pops up, you see it immediately, which is pretty cool. So hi Mapper, nice to have you here from Moscow, Russia. We have Richard Carifano, nice to have you here, Richard, from Albany, New York, celebrating 71 years today. Cool. This is happy birthday, and hope that you're having a good one. I was about to say I hope 71 more, but that's maybe stretching it a little bit. So happy birthday, Richard. Keegan DXer, nice to have you here in Northwest Arkansas. 51 Fahrenheit and cloudy. Tarbin says, I did not hear it today either, but I managed to make a recording of it. Just the most crazy thing I've ever heard. Huh, interesting. There's all sorts of things happening, and sometimes people are posting or are doing things in the handband they shouldn't be doing. So that's interesting. If it was last week, I believe we had the CW contest. Bands that were just like crazy full of CW signals. That could account for the strangeness of what you were hearing. Kevin Murray, nice to have you here. From a snowy Casper, Wyoming. Good to see you again. Nice to have you here. Well, yeah, it was nice to have contact through this CIDX Zoom. As always, it's always cool. So nice to have you here, Kevin, KK7HGD. What else do we have? Garrett Brennan, nice to have you here. We have Tasso V, nice to have you here from New York City. We have Darren, speaking of RFI, I'm ordering a choke set from HRO. Yeah, there's some stuff that can be mitigated. If you install chokes of ferrites on some of the cables, some of the things that we have. One of the biggest problems of December. Is the fact that we have Christmas decorations everywhere. I am the guy that tries to buy incandescent little bulbs still. Why? Because those string of lights, they don't have any noise coming out of them. They're just, incandescent bulbs in series. So no transformers, no switching power supply, no nothing in there, just lights. So I kind of, every year I buy some, even if I don't need them. So I got maybe like 10 boxes of strings of 100 lights that are unused. And the reason why is because I know someday they're going to be gone and we're not going to have any more. So by stocking up, I know that the next Christmases, whatever happens, I'll still have some of these lights. But, overall, if I look at the interference level for the decorations I have some that have these kind of blinking, switching patterns and stuff. I'm surprised at how low noise they are. Not all of them. There's a couple sometimes that are like, whoa, this is crazy. But most of what I've purchased up to now, I can actually leave it on and see very little, if any, difference at all on RFI. But chokes and ferrites, even on Christmas lights, if you have a set of Christmas lights that's very noisy, you can actually add chokes or ferrites to the Christmas light string, and you could be surprised at how it might block actually a lot of the noise coming out of it. But there's of course the neighbors where we have zero impact. You got to deal with the neighbors. So you might have a neighbor with a lot of lights and Christmas lights and noisy lights. Unfortunately, the noise level is a little higher this time of year. Sometimes because of the lights. There's also another thing that might, if you live like me in a place where it's cold, electricity usage is on the rise because, like here in Montreal and here in Quebec, the majority of people actually heat their homes with electricity. And that means that, of course, the power grid is used heavily, and that can increase the general background noise also. So there's a lot of things that in the winter we have to cope with concerning noise sometimes. I haven't seen too much of a rise here. Seem to be in the standard levels that I'm used to. But it's kind of interesting. I noticed one thing last week. I did a contact. I was able to actually make contact with Solomon Islands amateur station, SSB Voice. And the guy gave me a report and told me how how amazing my signal actually was in the Solomon Islands. And he actually asked me what I was using. He thought I was using like big gun power, like a kilowatt or something. It's just propagation was probably perfect for from here to there. I could hear and understand what he was saying, but it was a rough copy. And that's where I noticed that, you know what, if I would have been with the same setup, but maybe, outside of the city, near, near the woods where there's not a lot of things, I probably would have heard him really well. And in this, I've noticed so many times doing some hand contacts that my biggest problem is not getting my signal out. That works fine, and I've done so many contacts that are crazy interesting, like Mongolia in SSB voice, not even FT8. That I see my signals going out there. My signal is definitely propagating. Problem is my noise floor. My noise floor prevents me from hearing stations that are calling back sometimes to me. When when there was a CQ Worldwide SSB contest, when I made that contact with Australia, he seemed to hear me quite well. And I was hearing him enough to make the contact, but it was really, really on the fringe. It was, a little weaker, and I was unable. And I mean, he was answering back like easily to me. So, that's the thing that drives me a little crazy. The fact that it is, noisy on the radio here. Some activity on 8992 with the emergency action messages from the U.S. Air Force. There was a few messages earlier too. I'm monitoring 8992 here. Here, one thing that I want to monitor through the show will be, I'm always kicking the stand. Just put this like this. We're going 15476. I'll monitor a little bit 15476 upper sideband for LRA 36. So, anyways, noise is a big problem. That X-ray guy, nice to have you here from Valdez, Alaska. Pretty cool. Yeah, VT Radio, December 23rd at 20 hours Universal Time is the Christmas show. So Saturday, December 23rd at 20 hours Universal Time. Glenn, nice to have you here from South Carolina. Anthony, nice to have you here from sunny and warm Florida. Jim's Radio Check, nice to have you here. Juiced Van Dalen, nice to have you here. Randy Robbins, nice to have you here from Virginia. We have Brad in Amarillo, Texas. Nice to have you here. And 5LUL. Jeff King from Jacksonville, Florida. Nice to have you on board. Richard says, Havana, Cuba is so tough to listen to. Oh, yeah, their transmitters are definitely on the end of life cycle, pretty much. So that's pretty much what's going to happen with all of that. Cuba's going to follow a trend of a lot of shortwave stations that don't have a lot of money and don't have anything to replace the transmitters. They're going to be gone from shortwave the day the transmitters are not going to work anymore, pretty much. I would say that most African countries, when they left shortwave, they didn't leave because they wanted to leave shortwave. A lot of them just left because the transmitter went dead and they didn't have money to replace anything. So it just stayed like that. And that's the smaller broadcasters, the ones in countries that don't have a lot of money or have a hard time. This is definitely something that happens. The transmitter dies, no money to replace it. Because I can bet you, if it wasn't that the case, I think there's a lot of shortwave, a lot of African countries that would still actually be on shortwave. But they just don't have any money for that. So yeah, Cuba is a tough one, unfortunately. Coyote Grad Collectibles, nice to have you here. Selt Jim, nice to have you here from Central Michigan. Shortwave Archive says HF trading on 17450. Let's check that out. So I got no signals here. It could be simply skipping over. No signal here. No problem, Richard. Metalunar, nice to have you here. Torben, have no idea what it is, but I can send it to you to hear it. Yeah, that'd be nice. I'd like to hear it. It'd be kind of interesting. Hector Vasquez, nice to have you here from Los Angeles, California. Joel Baker, nice to have you here. Can I use the Texan ICR 110 to record shortwave stations on my H501? Yeah, you could. Absolutely. I also noticed that Anonco sells a kit with the PL990 and a smaller recorder. Do these work well? They work very well. They're digital recorders, and they work very, very well. Absolutely. Mike WDX50, nice to have you on board from Northwest Arkansas. VT Radio, yes, I do remember when that radio shut down last month. After much threading, pulling, and replacing the fuses in the power cord, fixed the problem. So go figure. Some fuses, by the way. Same fuses. Huh, interesting. It's weird. I have a power supply. I have a 30 amp power supply here. Works fine all the time. Yet, once every, say for example, I put it on the Yaesu and I do FT8, I can be a month of heavy FT8 without any issue. And one day, the transceiver shuts down when it wants to transmit. And, for a while, I thought, man, is my Yaesu, does my Yaesu, is it having a problem or something? So I switched with my 50 amp supply that I'm using here, and it never did it again. So my assumption is it's a power supply. But it's so weird that it's like once in a blue moon, for some reason, it does it. And 99% of the time, I could draw 20 amps out of 30 amps or 25 amps out of 30 amps, and it doesn't do anything. It works fine. So, sometimes there's these weirdness. I guess it's a glitch in the power supply, but that doesn't happen often. Glenn, nice to have you here from Thunder Bay. Nice to have you on board. Tasso says, yes, LED and especially CFL bulbs produce a lot of RFI. Try putting your AM radio near one and you'll hear it. Yep. Reynald Lambert, salut de Sorel. J'espère que tu vas bien. Nice to have you on board. Je suis à Montréal. Nice to have you here. Tivity Exeter, salut, ça va bien. J'espère que tu vas bien toi aussi. Nice to have you on board. Bill Miller, Merry Christmas. Nice to have you here from Northern Ireland. MI0NUM. Metalunar, do you collect any CB radios? I don't think I have seen many CB radios on your channel before. Well, I have a Uniden 980 SSB. I have a couple of these. I think batteries are on. There's batteries in it. Yep. Yep, batteries in it. So I have a couple of Ds. I have some TRC, what a 234, the ones that are used in Stranger Things. I've got also a TRC. So I got, that's the 234. It's another number, 216 or something like that. This is the 234. Yeah, I got this one. This one is interesting because this is one of the last Radio Shack CB talkies that sold. This is a 4 watts one. And this was way too expensive at the time. When I looked at it all the time, I was like, I'd purchase it, but it was like $229, which I thought was crazy expensive for this, especially since CB isn't what it used to be. And one day, and Radio Shack would do that from time to time. They'd have these tables with, stuff they put on like on sale, and they just want to, make sure that they don't keep it. So they were like crazy low prices. So I look on the table and behold, this is on the table, and it's $69. So I'm like, wow, $69. That's a better price for me. So I took it, went inside, and the guy warned me. He said, I just want to warn you before you buy it. The antenna socket is loose. So I told him, okay, I'll I think he ended up saying, well, I'll give you a $10 discount if you want it, 59. And but I told you the antenna socket is loose. So I said, okay, 59, let's go. And I brought it home, and it was an easy fix. I just poured in a lot of hot glue and kind of, that one part was like broken, and I kind of fixed it real well. It's okay now. And for 59, I had a 40 channel, 4 watts, which I use. It has the weather channels too, NOAA weather channels, which is all kind of nice. So, anyways, I kind of, if I had some place, if I had the possibility of, having like, if I had a basement or something that I could store stuff, I would probably have a couple of cool, the old cool vintage CB radios. There's some of them have such a cool look to them, and not that much for transmitting or doing anything. From time to time it happens. I sometimes take out a pair, and with my nephew or with somebody, I'll say, "Hey, you want to take a walk? We'll go in different directions and talk on the CB radio just for the fun of it." It's kind of something I kind of like. One of the things that I did a lot when I was a teenager, I was using some of the CB radios here. The one that I was talking about is right here. It's a TRC 214. So you might have seen this one on Stranger Things. One of the kids has actually this one on Stranger Things. So I got a pair of these that I bought on eBay for $25. So $25 for two, plus I don't know, $10 for the postage or something, or the shipping in Canada. So at $20 plus the shipping, the price that it came to for a pair, I thought, I want to have a pair. I had one of those, before, and now I got a pair. One of the things I'd love to do when I was a teenager, and actually I thought that I should make a series of videos on the channel and recreate that experiment and see if in 2023 somebody would answer back. So what I would do, because I didn't have, I had a couple of friends that loved to um, talk on the CB radio, and we'd have fun. But your friends are not always available, so sometimes I was like alone, and I wanted to play with the CB radio, and I was like, okay, what am I going to do? And what I would do is I would go to the park that was near where I lived back then, and I would actually call. At the time, I had only one crystal, because these have crystals. They're 3-channel, but they only come with 1 channel when you buy them. So I had only channel 14, which is the standard channel they all had. And what I would do is I would start calling. Is anybody there? Is anybody listening? Anybody hear me? I'm using a walkie-talkie. I'm in the middle of a park. Just curious to know if anybody's hearing me. And I'd say 9 out of 10 times that I do that back then, and I would say 1984, 85, somebody would answer back. And sometimes it'd be a CBer or a guy that had a CB in his car. And I met up with some of these guys. One guy was in his car. He actually made a detour to come and see me in the park and show me the CB he had in his car and so on, which was cool. A lot of kids with walkie-talkies back then that I also met up, and sometimes we kind of, one of the guys that I met up back then, we became friends, and we'd talk on the CB for like almost every night. It was really, really cool. So, but I was thinking I should do the same experiment now and make a video about it and see in 2023, will anybody answer a call that I will put out with a CB like this in the park, just out of curiosity. My guess is it's not zero. There could be some chances that maybe, but I don't think it's going to be as easy as it was in the 80s. But you never know. You never know. So what else do we have? Tesso, how is that internet radio doing that you showed on your channel a while back? Yeah, the CNG and WFR 32. I love it. I use it almost every night. Internet radio, it has amazing sound. Okay, it has like the Bose style amplification system. So it has an amazing sound. So of course, the sound is so good that it's mostly music I listen to. So 90%, 95% of my usage for such a radio is really music stations. So I stream music most of the time. And I have a few podcasts that are pre-programmed. So if I want to listen, for example, if I want to listen to AWR, Wavescan, or Glenn Hauser's World of Radio, they're all pre-programmed. I just, go to the podcast section and so on. But I love it. Honestly, I love it. Sometimes I'll hook up if I don't want to stream specifically things. I don't. One of the things that I should do more that I don't do much. Honestly, I should actually play around and go to the different areas. Like there's a list by countries and go into the different country broadcasts and stuff. I do stream a few things like BBC World Service. I've got Radio Australia. I've got a few more like that. That sometimes Radio France International. That sometimes I'll stream on the box. But most of my usage on it is really music. No problem, Terrence. Sorry. Mike WX50. I remember listening to the Solomon Islands shortwave broadcast station back in the 70s and early 80s. Wasn't always easy to hear due to distance, low power. They're still on the air, by the way. You can still listen to them on, I think it's 5020. But it's a tough one. And it's a tough one. Dan V, nice to have you on board from Ohio and AWJZ. Hug 911 says, anyone try to Malahite DSP3? Would really like to get one. Off license, what noise reduction measures do you use? I have chokes on everything. For the most part, I do have chokes on critical cabling. So, for example, the my SDRs, because they're plugged into a PC, I use USB cables that have chokes on them to reduce the noise from the computer to the device. But for the most part, I'm just careful as to what I turn on, what I use, and what I buy, much more than mitigating because you've got something that's noisy. You better have, from the start, the lowest noise stuff possible rather than having to fix a noisy problem, which is much more difficult to do. So all of that mixed in, that's my mitigation of how I try to lower noise. And of course, keep your antennas as far away of all of this as possible, and good shielded cables that go outside the house so that there's no interference getting into the radios that I use. And the rest, I have no control. The noise floor I have, when I look at, when you look at the noise floor here, which is, by the way, so everybody's always asking me, oh, what's that SDR software? And that's the Yaesu transceiver here. Okay. It's just that it has you can plug a screen on it. So my noise floor that I get here, basically, if I just take the span 500, so here, this one's not too noisy actually. The noise floor I get here is out of control. I have no control as to what to do or what I could change to lower it. It's a general noise that's here where I live outside. And one mitigation is and that's why I split with two different antennas. So my transceiver is on an end fed. That's my main antenna for transmitting on the ham bands. It's great above, I'd say starting at 10 megahertz and above. Great. Below 10 megahertz, it starts to get very horrible. And the lower I get, the more noise I get. And it gets to a point where I don't hear stuff that I'll hear with another antenna, which is my MLE30, which is a magnetic loop, which kind of mitigates some of the noise. So when I want to listen to what's happening on the lower frequencies, I'll turn to my SDRs or portable radios. I've got a multi-coupler here that I can plug up to 4 different radios and listen on the MLE30 below 10 megahertz. I'll use the MLE30 to listen to stuff. Above 10 megahertz, I'll often be on the Yaesu. From 10 to 15 megahertz, performance is about the same, but at 15 megahertz and above, my NFET is way better than the MLE30. So that's where it shines. So above 15 megahertz, I always use the Yaesu for that purpose. But like I said, the noise is mostly prevention, trying to buy stuff that isn't too noisy if possible, rather than trying to fix it, which is much more difficult. Jacksonville just got a tornado warning. Be careful. Stay safe, my friend Jeff King. Tom Buffa, nice to have you here from Fernandina Beach, Florida. W0GEO. Ben Toys, good day, Shortwave God. It's Peter from North Bay, Ontario. Nice to have you here. Robert Varner, nice to have you here. KC2TEL in New Jersey. The Rock, nice to have you on board, my friend. Sal Domino, nice to have you here. KM4PPV from Kentucky. Greg Splon, nice to have you here from Alabama. What do you think of the Lee GNE RDU239 and the related, in my mind, Raddy RF 320? Does having a radio capable of all of those bands just mean jack of all trades, master of none? Look, I've seen them here in Canada. That Lee GNE RD239 is very, very intriguing to me, and I would like to try one. There's none available. When I go on Amazon US, they say that they can't ship it to Canada, and when I check on any other sites, the only place I found one was AliExpress, which I don't want to order from. So there's no place where I can order one right now. But I will, if I do find one at a decent price, I want to try it. It looks interesting. I'm kind of curious. The Raddy RF 320 also. These are radios that are kind of intriguing in their own way. We'll see. We'll see, what happens. I'm going to try to get my hands on. But I can't say anything because I never tested them, really. And I haven't seen really a serious, video or serious, somebody very serious using it, actually. So no problem, VT Radio. And have fun on the contest, 160-meter contest. Keegan DX, yeah, a lot of the AC adapters, especially the switching power supplies, are crazy. So I'll have one like that. Matei, nice to have you here from Romania. Craig Martinetti, nice to have you on board from Oxford County, Ontario, Canada. Tasso says, I have a power strip and pretty much all of the 40-meter band and down is unlistenable when on. Yeah. Some power strips have USB ports on them, which means they have switching power supplies embedded within the power strip. You got to be very careful with that, because that means that power strip can become a power nightmare. I've got a few here, and I'm lucky they are zero noise. I don't see anything. They have 4 USB ports on them that I can plug device. I find it very, very useful to have a power strip that has USB cables on USB ports, because you always today everything wants to be charged with USB cables or powered with USB cables. So I find it very, very useful to have these, but you got to be careful because you can buy one that's actually crazy noisy also. Yeah, Cobra put a lot of pretty mobile CB radios. Definitely, there are some that are so sexy. I'm part of a CB Facebook page. It's not very active, but a lot of people post some really super sexy CB radios on there. It's crazy. What else do we have? Sal says, "Oh, maybe it will happen. Have a cool Back to the Future shirt." Yes, The shirt comes from the fact that I participated in there's a radio station here, a community radio station on the South Shore in Longueuil that has an 80s show on Friday evening, and they celebrated 10 years. So they actually asked us to, who wanted to participate. They had, I think it was like 12 or 14 people that could be in the studio. So they made a draw and picked up names, and I was one of the lucky names. And they were asking us to wear something that goes with the 80s. So I bought this shirt. I thought, Back to the Future, perfect for a little something 80s style. Radio Free Whatever on 6950. So let's check it out. 6950. We have Radio Free Whatever. There's definitely a signal, but it's very weak. I see something here that's very, very weak. So it's barely visible on the waterfall. So even here, doesn't seem to propagate very well. Tasso would love to see more videos of that Saint Jean radio. Okay, well, we'll check it out. I'll make videos, like showing some streaming of some, broadcasters of different countries and stuff like that, maybe. So, Richard Wagner, nice to have you here. Yeah, you know what? The time change. I'm still doing mistakes with the time change. I posted something on the Facebook group this week and noticed that I had made a mistake with the hour. It was 1 hour. Basically, in my head, I was still 4 hours behind UTC. So imagine, I'm still sometimes making mistakes. But, it could be worse. I still remember that time when everybody was waiting for my live show. And I realized that I had the wrong time. I started an hour late because I still thought that it was 4 p.m. Eastern when it was 3 like it is now here for 20 hours UTC. Anthony Friends made a purchase last week as the AirPlay RSP1A, loving it. It's great. I know you're going to love it. It's really, really great to play with the SDR Play. And they're really nice for the wideband purpose also, the wideband capability. Andy New, looking forward to receiving my new Malachi DSP2 and the GA450 loop. Cool. Sal Domino says, trying to antenna on my gutter on the apartment complex I live in was a no-go, received too many local radio stations. Yeah, that is a possibility depending on the radio you're using. Sometimes the gutter is kind of grounded, which makes that even worse. So it depends. Brett Wayne, nice to have you here from Salamanca, KC2 NXP. Tasso, the station on 15555 upper sideband is on, I noticed. I wonder how many people actually listen and how they pay the bills. It's from Milton, Florida, I believe. Yeah, it's a 1 kilowatt from Milton. Let's check it out here. Yep, it seems to be maybe a little bit off frequency. I don't seriously think apart from us geeks, radio geeks, I have a hard time thinking anybody's listening to that. Imagine already a shortwave broadcaster, a religious shortwave broadcaster, trying to explain to people that you have to listen to them through shortwave is already an exploit in itself. Imagine having them telling them, "Oh, we're on shortwave, but you have to use a single sideband receiver and put it in upper sideband to tune that," you totally lost them. So I think us geeks hear it, and I think that's the only people that hear it. I can't believe anybody would actually listen to it intentionally like that. So yeah, you know, honestly, that question of how do you pay the bills um, goes also with a lot of stations, religious broadcasters that I always find. I say it from time to time. I actually listen to WEWN, the Catholic station, on 15610 and 12050 or something. And they were live doing a calling show. I think it was last year or something like that, a year ago. And every time that a caller would get in, they would ask them where they were listening and what station they were listening on. And I thought, you know what, this is going to be interesting. I'll tune the whole afternoon to different callers, and I'll take note of who listens on shortwave. And I spent, I think, 3 hours listening. And of all the callers, and I mean, there were dozens of callers, I think one mentioned it was listening through the shortwave outlet. All the other ones were all listening in through either an AM or an FM station local to where they live, which just gave me it kind of made me realize, nobody listens on shortwave to these things. And it makes you realize and think after that is, why are you spending all that money broadcasting on shortwave when there's really not many people? Look at Bruce there. Okay, we get that example, the Overcomer Ministry. Look how much money they're spending on shortwave. Do you seriously think a lot of people are listening to that to the point of being worth the probably what I would think is millions of dollars a year of shortwave broadcasting? I have a hard time thinking that there's enough people listening on shortwave to really, make that a viable option. It's kind of weird. Bruce Corbett, nice to have you here. And 9BH 3830 Radio Man, nice to have you here. Greg, I'm set to get the Ligiani and the RD239 after a week of waiting. Ratty has the same bands, but the control of it is through the phone app. So, yeah, it's going to be kind of interesting. Give us some news about that. The Win 1960, nice to have you on board from New York. So far, cancer-free. Cool. That's good news. I think I jumped over something here. Tim Taylor, nice to have you here. Says, Mayday, Mayday, heavy snow in Bavarian forest for the last 24 hours. Nice to have you here from Southeast Germany. Hey, we're going to have a foot of snow in the next 48 hours here in Montreal, which for us is a normal thing. It's always funny because, when I see, an inch of snow in some of the cities in the U.S. or even in Europe, sometimes you'll see that there's a little bit of snow and it's like it's general panic. And for somebody like me, it's like we always kind of laugh because it's like, yeah, we get a foot of snow and it's business as usual. We're kind of used to it. Mad Max, nice to have you here. Eric Leffy, nice to have you on board. HB3XUT, nice to have you here from Switzerland. else do we have? Yeah, it's pirates. You know, you don't really know exactly where pirates are, but yeah, probably in the northeast somewhere. He's getting a little stronger now. I'm hearing a little better. I actually recognize the Radio Free Whatever voice. It's a little stronger now. It's getting the signal's picking up a little bit. So 6950 upper sideband if you guys want to hear a pirate. Blogger Die, nice to have you on board. Speaking of 1 hour late. TV Radio 1972, nice to have you here, Michael, in New Jersey. I wish the time didn't have to change. We should either be all standard or all daylight time through the year. Yeah. There's a lot of talk about it, but I'm not sure anybody wants to do anything about it. Fire Drink Jammer, 11830, S6 in Colorado. And there was a lot of the fire drakes that I was hearing a couple of weeks back. Signals from China and from Asia in general have been very strong. Let's check it out, 11830, see if I hear it. Nope. Eleven 780 Brazil's coming in with some music. It's interesting because a year back I made a recording of the fire drake, and YouTube actually gave me a copyright strike saying that it's copyrighted music. Hey, Dark Noise and L, nice to have you here from Netherlands. PD3MIK. And waiting for the PL330. You're going to love it. Nice little package and great little radio. Rotten Animal, nice to have you here. Greg, nice to have you on board from southeastern Illinois. What else do we have? Tesla says, I guess they rely on donations and it may not cost much to run a 1 kilowatt station for sure. No, a 1 kilowatt station doesn't cost them much. That's definitely the case. Now, who thought of that and put it up? Has to be a radio geek. There must be some radio geek there. You know. Anthony is hearing some U.S. Air Force emergency action message on 15016. What else do we have? Just try to catch up here and find a spot where I was. Hey, welcome back from dinner. Dark Noise and L, broadcasting on shortwave. Well, some people do live remote and rely on broadcasters do it to keep the frequencies alive and out of nostalgia and reach, of course. Yeah, it's just that there's things like, you know, that 1 kilowatt single sideband station. It's kind of weird. Hey, Skip and 2EI, welcome aboard. Yeah, Dr. Melissa Scott and all of that and WWCR. It's interesting. It's really interesting. RJ Dakota can receive Brother Scare on 770 WEW locally almost all day. Oh, man. That's a waste of time and energy. Brian Chapman. No problem. Happy to be here. Computech, nice to have you on board from Trinidad. KLW World News, nice to have you on board. Thank you so much. Blogger Die, religious broadcasting, medium wave and FM have almost all the listeners, but shortwave can reach every nation, which has theological significance to them. Yeah, I guess. Still, I'm not sure that for the amount of money you're spending for the broadcasting, that it actually does. But I get what you're saying. Maybe it's, ideological, trying to get the word out for as many people as possible. Thinking about it, actually, you made me realize, in a sense, it could simply be their way of giving out the word for as many people as possible, and probably not their local or their main audience, because yes, AM FM is where the audience is. Definitely. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. But definitely, I mean, they get a lot of money in. It's like, brother, the brother stare crap. I mean, just thinking of how much money they have to pay for all of that is already mind-boggling in itself. Signed off at 21. Okay, so maybe I missed it. Glenn Danzler, I've applied for a shortwave call sign 3 times over the last 18 months. Never had gotten a reply. Used Edge browser in Gmail and Outlook. Any suggestions? Go to the page. You have your call. I bet you your call exists. Go to the page. So I'm just gonna bring up the page here, and also check. Okay, so I'm gonna bring up the page here. It's the SWARL, right? Call sign. So go to the web page. Okay. Go to the web page. I'm going to post the link. So if you guys, by the way, want to have your own shortwave listener call sign, you can actually ask for it there. But I bet you, Glenn, that your certificate is there. So go to the page and click on let me just, okay, list. Here it is. Okay. I'm going to give you a link. There you go. Go through this listing. Find your name in there. Okay? Find your name in there. And at the end, the right side of the screen, there's going to be a button called Show Certificate. Okay? So go here. I just posted the link. Go here. In that list, find yourself in there. I'm sure, I bet you $1 million you're there. Glenn Danzler. Let's see if I can find you. I'm gonna check it out. Glenn, are you using the same name? Glenn D. I don't know if you're using the same name or whatever name you used. So there's Glenn, and if I just search Glenn, there's 13 of them. Glenn, Ann Arbor, Michigan. There's Glenn Britton. Yeah, check it out. There's Yeah, you're there. I see you. Glenn Danzler, Richburg, South Carolina. And it says here that your certificate was on issued on November the is it November the 3rd? What's the 10/9? Yeah, it's yeah 11. No, it's March. So it's March the 11th. I see your name there, Glenn Danzler. Your number on the left side, there's a number 16,485 is your number, and you have your certificate there. So just click Show Certificate on the right side of the screen, and you're going to get it. Your certificate is there. What happens, and that happened to me, is that your email, when you got the confirmation through email for your certificate, it went to the spam folder. That's what happened to me. It went to the spam. And after, I think, a month, I thought, this is weird. I got nothing. And somebody had suggested to me to go see that list. And I found my name there. And my certificate was ready. It's just that when I started looking, it was in the spam folder. So go get it. It's there. Okay. Tesso has 11720, Voice of America from North Carolina. Easy and strong. Yeah, that's a strong one here too, usually. K6 SUD, nice to have you here. Craig Martinetti has a call sign of WDX2ROE. Man, Max, you can sort of triangulate the pirate broadcast, but that doesn't mean that's where the pirate actually is. Most are remote. Yeah. And I suspect there's a lot of, there's like just a few guys that actually have the transmitters. And a lot of pirates rely on the same service or the same guy to rebroadcast the pirate show. If you notice, sometimes I'll have 2 or 3 pirate shows in a row, all with pretty much the same signal level and everything. And you're like, yeah, that sounds like all coming out of the same place. Dark Noise, well, as a ham, you'd be amazed what you can do with only 100 watts and how far you can be heard. If I had a kilowatt at my disposal, I could receive myself. Yeah, I am amazed at my contacts that I do on amateur radio, honestly, and even in SSB voice. The 2 stations that were really cool that I got in the last week was Solomon Islands, and there was a Decoding group also that was. Let me just remember the place here. It was in the Pacific area. Let me just get my logbook here. So SSB Voice. Okay, that's the contest stuff. Wait, I need to, yeah. I missed it. I went too fast. First page. 58, SSB. I need to find SSB in there. SSB. Not that far down, actually. Oh, here we go. Solomon Islands, which was really cool. Hotel 44 Whiskey Alpha. And I also had a lot of fun. Contacted Oscar X-Ray 7 Alpha Kilo Tango in Greenland. That was a Danish de-expedition that left the next day. I contacted them on the 27th. They were leaving on the 28th. So I got 2 stations out of that. I got that one, Oscar X-Ray 7 Alpha Kilo Tango, which in Greenland on SSB Voice. And I also got Greenland in FT8 The same D expedition, but a different station. Oscar X-ray 5 Delta Mike. But every time I try, I'm in general, I'm even on the big pileups, I often end up making it through, and I'm just using 100 watts, and it's just a wire. It's an end fed antenna, half wave end fed. So it's kind of cool. It brings some excitement to the hobby. Um, I want to do a little series of, because I did one video, sorry, last week about getting into amateur radio, why it could be fun to be in amateur radio, and even if maybe you don't haven't thought about it, or maybe you just don't see why you should go and do amateur radio, which I totally understand, because sometimes we talk about it, and there's arguments in there that I see. Yeah, okay, but there's so much more to amateur radio, and I always end up talking about how we have to remove the side of the negativity of what amateur radio sometimes could be, and put some positivity in it. And yeah, okay, you might have seen that side of amateur radio. You might not agree with it. Might not be happy with it. You might have some grumpy old idiot that's a ham radio, and that rather than helping you is discouraging you from actually becoming a ham, when actually the amateur radio reflects what you are. What do you want out of amateur radio? Then do it. I do not accept there's not a lot of SSB, there's not a lot of voice, a lot of this or a lot of that. Yeah, that's because if you continue just talking about there's not this, there's not that, rather than applying it and doing it, it always going to stay the same. I know there's a bunch of people that all agree with you that, yeah, there should be more SSB voice. Well, go on the air and call CQ and use your voice. It's not by complaining there's not enough of voice that you're going to help the cause. It's you got to go on the air and call CQ. So change amateur radio, and you'll find other people, and try to contact people that also are, sorry that there's not enough voice, and say, hey, let's arrange a contact. Let's arrange a time and date. We're going to talk together on amateur radio. So, I'm at that phase. I kind of brush off all the negative that I see all the time. It's like FT8. When I see somebody who's like, oh, FT8 is not it is. I'm sorry, it's part of amateur radio. You're not happy, don't do it. There's other things you can do. But complaining about it doesn't help and doesn't do anything. It's just complaining about it. So do what you want with amateur radio, and stop complaining what others do. Do what you want, and go and do what you wish would be more of. And I bet you that if everybody would apply that rule, we'd see more of a lot of different things, rather than a dead band because somebody's going to just turn it on, say there's nobody on, so I'm not going to do anything. How about you turn it on and you call CQ? Have you thought of calling CQ rather than trying to hear somebody that you're going to talk to? Maybe somebody else is going to be out there and trying the same thing as you are actually right now, and we'll talk to you. So that was the amateur radio positivity moment. So Bruce says N9BH that there's a very weak signal in 6950 kilohertz in Southwest Missouri. RGA Dakota, I don't know why WEW is even still alive doing what it does. Yeah. Dupo, I've been really enjoying tuning around 6800, 7000 lately. Lots of interesting military signals along with the pirates. Yeah, it's one of those things. Radio Kid, oops, an hour late. That daylight saving time thing, or are we on a regular time now? I get confused. If you live your life, that's the important thing. If you live your life in UTC time, you will never be late. Have a UTC clock and always remember that the show is always at 20 hours. Never changes. We are in reality always at the same time. UTC. KLW World News. China didn't relicense one of their frequencies in the USA, and the FCC, during the license, they are continuing to transmit without the license. So, we'll see. FCC is going to probably do something about it. That's for sure. They've been going at the AM FM, mostly the FM pirates, quite a lot recently. Oh yeah, like Mad Max says, for fun, sometimes I'll put the lowest power I can use on the Yaesu is 5 watts. So sometimes I'll just put 5 watts and I'll put myself in FT8 and I'll add Q or P because it's low power and call CQ and see where it goes. And it is simply astonishing to see somebody from, say, Europe answer my call and thinking, geez, this is just 5 watts. And it actually made it all the way across the Atlantic Ocean. And somebody heard it. It's just crazy. Just crazy. J Projects, I've heard Brother Stare ask their listeners leave their money to his ministry. Your kids will just squander it. God, please. Please. James Radio Check says took a spool took a spool antenna and cut the spool off and hooked up a piece of wire to it all the way across the yard. It works good. Cool. Reader Kids, so summer's DST, daylight savings times. Why do we have to save daylight in the summer when the days are long? Why radio hobbyists and astronomers use GMT, I guess. The idea behind it was to save energy and also to have in the summertime an extra hour of daylight in the evening for farmers, for example, stuff like that. William Parmsley, nice to have you here. Bob D, nice to have you here. William says, remember the popular electronics monitor program, which still has the PE registration, your WPE9FON. Richard Wagner, yes, that happened to me, and you told me to go to the page and check for my call sign, and there it was. They usually will also send you an email that you already had one. RJ Dakota, I use UTC for practically everything, even my doctor's appointments. I can imagine going to the doctor's like, like the secretary is like, wow, you're never late. Oh, I knew it was at 14 hours UTC. Like, what? What else do we have? DX Radio, nice to have you here. Well, I'm just going to tell you one thing, guys. If you don't look at the ads and you skip them all the time, I would not be here if there would be no ads. I can tell you that. Chaz Stank, nice to have you here from Louisville, Kentucky. Take care, Tasso. Always nice to have you here. Al, nice to have you on board. Says great that you got Greenland. Yeah. And there's an excitement. We talk about FT8 and we talk about different modes. And for sure, when you get a contact, say I would get, I think I had Solomon Islands already on FT8. But getting it on SSB voice is far more exciting experience. It's just so great. Same with Greenland. It's like, oh, I got Greenland on FTA. Okay. But it's kind of it becomes like an ordinary thing. It becomes like a boring stuff. It's like when you do FT8 a lot, in my case, maybe, I don't know. Everybody's different. So for some, it might still be wow. In my case, doing a lot of FT8, I get to the point where, Australia, Japan, there's no more. It's not exciting. It's not exciting, and that could be just me. And I mean, I'm pretty sure some out there are like, oh wow, and it's okay. But if I get Japan in SSB voice, or Australian SSB voice, or Solomon Islands, or Greenland, it's like, wow. Now it's wow. It's kind of cool, Blogger Die is old enough to have a CB radio call sign. I got into CB radio the year that they abolished having a license on CB. Sheila, nice to have you here. Sheila from Belleville, Ontario, Canada. There was a magazine in the past. It's possible, Craig. It maybe is Popular Electronics. There was a magazine in the past. Yeah, that's Popular Electronics that issued listener call signs. Chaz, thanks for wanting me to keep the snow and ice up north. Hey, we're going to get a foot of it in the next 48 hours. You sure you don't want me to kind of blow and try to push it down? Ohaya Suku, love your comment on removing the negativity. I was on the repeater in London, and there was a new guy, clearly new and shy, uncomfortable with the bell thing. And one guy started saying, "Oh, those are, yeah. Well, that's that we don't need that. We just don't need that." The guy was probably very happy that he's getting on a repeater with the little bell thing. And you know what? How do you react to that? You're new to the hobby. You get on a repeater. Some old grumpy ham starts ranting at you. How's the rest of your hobby going to go? That's exactly what's going to be. Well, you know what? I got on once. I was shy. It was, it's the first time. Everybody's shy the first time they key up. Everybody. The first time I used my transceiver to make a voice contact, I was intimidated somehow. You're not used. It's something new that you're not used to. And I mean, I'm the guy that had all of that experience of radio listening for 40 years. So imagine, and I do the live shows, and you guys see me and I talk. Yet picking up a microphone and doing something that I am not yet in my comfort zone is, intimidating. And pretty much all of us went through that phase the first time you picked up your microphone for ham radio. How did you feel? There's a little intimidating going on. There's like, you have these guys that you hear and it's like, oh yeah, they've been a ham for a long time and I'm the newbie. But you know what? That kind of experience is enough for a new ham to go on and say, okay, crap it. I did one contact and the guy just ranted and said, I got crappy equipment. And it might have simply done one thing. You just put the equipment there and never going to do any contacts, never going to do anything again. And that could be a big difference in how you got, your first contact. Who are you to rant at anybody about the equipment they're going to use to do a ham contact or whatever? I don't know. This is the perfect example of, you know what? A ham that should retire from ham radio. That's all. It's all, take care. Have a great time. And once again, for all of you here, December 23rd, Santa is here. 20 hours UTC, Saturday, December 23rd. Santa will be here. We're going to have a Christmas show. So I hope you're going to be there. It's going to be a lot of fun. Talking of Christmas show, we have a Zoom coming up in January where we'll have a presentation on shortwave stations that are on the air right now. We'll have a little presentation and, of course, the usual roundtable. For that to happen, for you to be there, you need to do one thing: donation to the channel. So you can do it through here in the super chat. There's a little icon with a $sign on the bottom of the chat, or you can do it through PayPal. And here is the PayPal email where you should send your donation. Anybody that does a donation will be invited to the January Zoom meeting, where once again we'll have a roundtable. We get to meet up together, have fun together. So far we had 2. They were a lot of fun. I think everybody that were there agrees that it was pretty cool to be there. And next one will have that little extra on it, a PowerPoint presentation of the shortwave broadcasters, some shortwave broadcasters that we have today, and some details about them, when they started, the transmitter sites, and so on. So all you have to do, little donation, any amount, and you're in. And then I need to have your email to make sure that, I have the email of a lot of people now. But if you have never participated, never done it, and I need to have your email in order to be able to send you the invitation to the Zoom meetup in January. Okay. I agree with Dark Noise. I have a bail thing here, and all I can say is they're surprising for the price you pay. That's all. Anybody that poo-poos them, I'm sorry, but they're quite okay. Christopher, good evening. He says, my friend Chris from Llandudno, North Wales, just wants to say how disappointed I am in Deep Elect SDR 101 giving up on firmware for the product. Seems a shame because it's a well-made SDR. Look, in itself, if this had a better interface and a better way of an improvement in radio itself, this form factor with this screen is absolutely perfect. I play with it regularly, even if it has a lot of big flaws and it's kind of tough to go through the menus. But man, this, they want to make a second one. If they make it right, this could be very, very, very nice, honestly. For sure. Yeah, Bruce, exactly. Years ago, we'd say spin the big knob. Jim Gordon, nice to see you again from a snowy Scotland. Radio New Zealand, been coming in quite well on 13755 around 09 UTC on his aged Panasonic B65 using an indoor aerial. Cool. I almost had one of those B65s. When they were out back in the day, I thought they looked really, really neat. And man, I almost purchased one. Cumbrian Steve, nice to have you on board. Thank you so much for the nice comments. Craig lived in Staten Island, New York at the time. Might have been a member. Shortwave Radio Archive was decoding SSTV this morning on 14230 and someone calling CQ 14232. Make it really hard to decode. Yeah. A lot of people, because, we talk about it, there's a gentleman agreement on the bands of where and how to do things. And that gentleman agreement isn't always followed. Sometimes some people, I've noticed, particularly on SSTV, it's kind of known that around 14 to 30 slow scan TV happens. But I've noticed a lot of hams that seem to not either not care, or if they don't care, or they do care, it's just because they don't know that it's happening, that it's there. So it it happens, unfortunately, but Dupo says, I was thinking of at least trying to get into the 2 meter band, but was wondering if it's possible to get on HF shortwave at all if you're inside an apartment and unable to mount an antenna outside. Look, I got a couple of people that I know that one in particular lives in a condo in near Boston, near the Boston area. He actually has a dipole that he's created and put up in his condo inside. And he made contacts all over the world. So, yeah, it is totally possible to make contacts with some antenna. You got to be careful. Don't put the antenna, 3 feet from your head, but find a spot where you can actually set it up. And yeah, it's very surprising what you can do. He's contacted I don't know how many countries, SSB voice, and in the antennas inside his condo. All right, Don, nice to have you here from New Jersey. I just lost my spot here. Let me just go here. Okay, here we go. Nice to have you on board, K2ADC. From New Jersey, Ricky, nice to have you here from Alberta. Et je vais très bien. Thank you so much for being here. Always nice to have you on board, my friend. Bill Mead, nice to have you here from Pennsylvania. Wondering if you still have your W6 LVP loop, and do you still prefer the MLA30? It's mostly a question of the idea is the W6 LVP loop works great. The liking the MLA30 more is more in the perspective that for price versus performance, get an MLA30. Because I don't see enough difference on the performance to pay all of that extra money. But it does well what it does. So it's a question of more money versus the performance you get, because both perform well. Michael, nice to have you here. Radio Kid, I hear a lot more AM hams in 80 meters and 40 meters than I used to. Right, chewing typically sometimes a net. They are typically so strong I can get both sides on the Grundig RK709 on the whip. Yeah, there's a lot to hear, and 40 during the daytime I hear quite a lot. 80 meters at night, there's a lot of this. The Fly NYC, I hit Europe somewhat regularly, QRP on the CB channel 38. So that's another example. I should I need to try it. I should put my Uniden 980 SSB on my half-wave end-fed and key up channel 38 and see if I can reach with just the standard 12 watts of the CB radio. I know a lot of people just use the stock power and make contacts through Europe and throughout North America. Todd J. Riddle, nice to have you here. KC0CCB. That X-ray guy working in Alaska, but my home is in Louisiana. Case 6 SUD. Have anyone have any experience with the Perseus SDR running Jaguar software? Finally got around to building my shack bench, and that was a present to myself. Still checking it out. So anybody can help our friend here. No, the amount of daylight is the same. It's just that they add 1 hour more of, when you put DST, you have 1 hour more in the evening of daylight, which you take out in the morning in reality. Matt says, farmers never wanted DST. That's a common misconception, but it's not true. They work for dawn to dusk regardless. Yeah. It's mostly a kind of a power saving measure, which was always controversial anyways, on how, if you have 1 hour more of daylight, maybe you'll use less electricity at night or something when you use it the most. But all of that is kind of a lot of information being sent to us of, oh, it's good for this, that, and that. But I don't even know if there's a reliable source of a study somewhere that showed us, yeah, it's a good thing. All I hear is, well, there's more heart attacks and more whatever every time we change the times. Like, yeah, doesn't seem like a good idea. Cumbrian Steve, have the Yaesu FTD X10. Love it. That's all I ever need. Yeah, same here. I don't even have, I like radios, and yeah, okay. Maybe if I'd be a millionaire, I'd look into some other stuff. But honestly, in everyday usage and all of that, the FTDX10 that I got, I'm happy with it. I don't even feel the need or understand. I don't even have a reason why I should get something else. It's just so great. DX Radio from Brazil. Nice to have you here. No problem with your English. It's all right. Welcome aboard DX Radio. And they're listening to Brazil right now, 11780, Radio Nacional Amazonas, in Portuguese. So, hey, we got a signal from Brazil here, as you were in Brazil. So it's kind of cool. And I'm located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Keegan the Xer says, my dad didn't like daylight savings times even as a kid living in Green Bay, Wisconsin. We had to go to bed at 9 p.m. even when it was still light out in the summer. And that's kind of a bummer. Chastang, I had the truck radio F150, a Ford 150, scanning a few days on AM bands when the CBC 860 French language station coming in loud and clear. Cool. Todd, nice to have you on board from South Dakota. Shortwave Archive. Jill, do you have any books of shortwave station schedules from the 80s? I have a listing that I found on the internet, a text file. And it's a 24-hour schedules of English language shortwave broadcasters. All I can say is do not look at that unless you're ready to cry. I mean, I started looking at it and I was like, oh man, wow. It was just crazy and reminds you of all the stations back then. Shelly, I've always watched the ads on your channel since I can't otherwise contribute. I just go grab coffee. Cool. Dark Noise, don't like FT8, too automated. Nothing better than regular voice connections or something, sometimes SSTV. Yeah, there are times. I mean, but there, we're not going to talk about ads much, but it's there's also sometimes people, some of the creators go a little nuts on how many ads. Robert Varner, does anyone do PSK anymore? Yeah, I regularly hear PSK 31 on the different channels. I mean, let's just check it out because I can decode it here on the screen. Let's just see if I hear some right now. Let's go to. I'm going to put it to PSK mode. 14. Whoops. Yep. There's one right now. The code. I just need to. The signal's there. Here we go. Decoding. AD9ANS. I'll leave it there if somebody else is answering. Oh, I'm hearing this. There's the other one's answering back, but he's very weak. I'm gonna leave it there. If he gets back, we'll see the decoding of the text. So yeah, 14070. There's some PSK 31 right now. Upstate SWL, howdy folks, nice to have you here. WB/V WDX4IJN. There's actually 2 or 3 stations doing it right now. There's one here which is kind of weak. It'd be fun to have a stronger one. But there's at least, from my here, there's at least 3 stations right now, just around 14070. Bruce Corbett, nice to have you here. Yeah, already. Yeah, you've been here since the beginning. CB radio call sign KBP2394. Jim's Radio Check says, we're lucky if we get a foot in the whole season. Ricky says, please send some snow this way. Calgary is at risk of having a brown Christmas. Wow. Let's share the snow. Who wants snow? I'll ship it free of charge. Radio Kid had a CB call sign too. Craig says, misses all the major shortwave stations, HJB, Radio Netherlands, Radio Australia. Yeah. Russ CB says he's still Mike Shy and he's licensed since 2007. Yep. It's a question of going at it all the time. If you do it regularly, you slowly get that shyness off. But yeah. Here we go. He's back. Should be some decoding going on here. There we go. Decoding going on. Cottonwood and Prescott areas as well. I work in insurance industry. I'm 59, so got a few. Here the signal's fading a little bit. Well, it's dinner time. Great to meet you. And enjoyed the QSL. K89ANX. 73 Jerry, and thanks for the PSK 31 QSO. W7JIF from KD9ANS. SK for end of transmission. So here you go, guys. A little decode of a PSK31 on the Yaesu FTDX10, which has its own PSK31 decoding in it. What are some good choices on radios with good reception on medium wave? There's a lot of them that are pretty good. Maybe somebody could have a better. I need to maybe do a few tests and check it out. But it depends all because there's a seriousness of the DX thing. If you're really really into getting really far away, medium wave, and all of that. There's the one side of it, which is using maybe an SDR could be a pretty cool thing, honestly. So it's kind of cool. We got the bell sound. I'm going to check that out. We have our friend here that sent the bell sound. Let's check it out here if I can play it on the phone. Oh yeah, that's Morse code. Yeah, that's Morse code. You were actually listening to the CQ Worldwide. Was it not the CQ? It's the CQ Worldwide CW contest. I'm pretty sure it's many Morse code, many amateur radio stations, all at the same time. So I figured that could have been it. And you see, my hunch was good. It's actually Morse code, many stations and Morse code together. That's what you were hearing. So thanks for sharing. Now the mystery is solved. Let me just go back where I was. If I can go back and try to go down a little faster. Okay, here we go. The Radio Free Whatever 6950 is actually much better now, coming in very well. About S9 plus 20 with some music. Very good signal right now on Radio Free Whatever 6950 upper sideband. Bruce, hey, I'm old. Why is old always in front of grumpy? Probably because of the average age of hams. But yes, you are totally right. There's young grumpy hams too. So let's put the thing straight. Let's just call him grumpy hams. David Antonio, nice to have you here from Brazil. Upstate's Shortwave, WP and 1964 from Popular Electronics magazine. You got the WDX version, and PE discontinued it, but the administrator, Hank Bennett, continued it with the WDX. Huh, okay. Santa is coming. Do all viewers get a Texan? If I was a millionaire, I'd probably. Todd, have you linked with anything RTL SDR radios? Yeah, I've got the RTL SDR V3 here, the original. And actually, I'm curious about the new version that I'm going to check if they're available because they were out of stock for a while. I mean, for the price, if you can cope with the few flaws, very surprising. Honestly, very surprising. Jeff King, my CB license, KBTS 9312. Had to pay for mine, I think 3 years before they dropped it. 40 channels are just coming out. Most CB radios sold were still 23. Craig, yes, the mailing address. So let me just remind everybody, if you want to make a PayPal donation, it's here. And if you make a PayPal donation or make a donation through the super chat here, remember to send me your email. So send email, and it's official shortwave radio at gmail.com. Official shortwave radio at gmail.com. Make sure I got your email there so that I can actually send you the Zoom link for the January Zoom, which once again will have a presentation on shortwave stations that are on the bands right now. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Of course, with the added, round table that we always have, which is always kind of cool. Glenn, got your call. Cool. You see, we're here to help. This is all about it. You're here. We're here to help. So glad that you got your call sign now. I printed mine on photo paper, so it looks like a real cool certificate. Mad Max used to have my dad's old 303 channel Royce CB which had a plastic pocket on the side, which had his CB license in it from back in the day. Wow. Jim's radio check. Sears Road Talker. Oh man. Gord, nice to have you here from Niagara Falls, VE3BEE. Lex 2006, nice to have you here. Radio Kids, CBKBOL 7975. Cool, Cumbrian Steve. Best wishes to you too. Matt, it's harder to decode SSTV on 14230 when multiple hams are sending at the same time. It happens because usually I'm in a skip zone and they don't copy each other. Yeah, that happens often. Several SSTVs at the same time. Yeah. 45 unit. Nice to have you here. What do we have? Chris C. Nice to have you here from Queens, New York City. NZHTI. Nice to have you here. Alex Kaufman. Nice to have you here from Southeast Iowa. What else do we have here? Radio Kid, the regulars on my local big repeater, Blue Mountain, Virginia, tend to be very encouraging to newbies on the nets. My scanner is set for the local repeaters. Cool. RJ Dakota, RNZ Pacific is an interesting and excellent station and on an interesting higher frequency, 17675. Mickey Delmage, nice to have you here from Sherwood Park, Alberta. Nice to have you on board, my friend. Chris CD MLA 30 Plus opened up so much more channels for me. Yep, for a lot of people too. Matt says they tried Weird Round DST in the early 70s during the energy crisis, but it was very unpopular due to the very late sunrise in the winter. So they have to make it all one or other. It's standard time. Yeah. Christopher Cullen, I would love to see you do a video on the drivers for the RTL SDR V4 to work with the SDR++. I'm going to check it out. I want to order the new V4. So I'm going to check that out. Have you ever tried the HF 3 multiband mobile antenna? No, William. Craig, how do I properly reply to people? It's you know what? Listen, for a lot of people, what I would say a lot on AM radio shyness, by the way, is if you want to get the hang of it, listen a lot. Listen to everybody making contacts and take note of the way they do it. You know what helped me, even though it was still intimidating, You know, 40 years of shortwave listening and listening to hams a lot. I got the hang of how contacts are made much more than actually because you know in the amateur radio course they kind of show you a basics of how a contact and how calling CQ should be done. But honestly, the best way is to actually listen to AMs, basically. Jim Gordon, former CBC Christmas favorite, Alan Maitland's reading of Frederick Forsyth's ghost story, The Shepherd, has been turned into a feature film. Check it out. NZHTI would look like background black microphone 8 transmitted. I'm trying to figure out what you're trying to say. What else do we have? Matt says, you get PSK 31? I never do here. Well, almost never. I get fairly good amount of PSK here. 20 meters, 14070, and 40 meters, either 7070 or even because a lot of Europeans are on 7030 and 7040. And it's fairly common. Now here's some other mode though. This is more like some Olivia or something. I'll try on 40, but since 40 isn't good on this thing, I think I hear a little bit there. But I would say 20 meters is the most popular for me, where I hear it all the time. So it's fairly often. Not really hearing anything on LR 836 on 15476 upper sideband from Antarctica. Marvin Motz, nice to have you here from Japan Islands. Matt says, I've never gotten the hang of tuning and decoding PSK31 because I find it so seldom, but I find it hard to tune and decode RTTY too. Yeah, PSK31, the thing is because it's a very, very narrow mode. And what happens is that you'll have the center frequency where it all starts in upper sideband, for example, on receive. A lot of software have actually the ability to, like FLDG, it will actually give you the text of every single PSK31 that it hears in a USB mode. But yeah, you got to move on to the, it's not seldom. It's not like, necessarily just like out there. They're centered on specific frequencies, like 14070 and a little bit up. So you'll have that couple of kilohertz where they kind of hang out in. But yeah, but RTTY is even worse because RTTY is even wider. It's like, like anywhere from 14080 to 14100. I don't even know. There's let's check out here if we see if I hear some RTTY. Oh, that's 54. Well, there's an FT8 station on 15091. There must be some DX there. Wow, there's a lot of different digital modes tonight. I actually hear probably more PSK31 than I hear RTTY in general. William just received his ATS 25 Max. We'll try it tomorrow. Have fun. Tune around. Wobble says there's some tunes being played on the buzzer right now. Shortwave archive. Do you get any long-wave stations in Europe? Well, in Europe, there are long-wave stations that they are heard. That's for sure. Here in North America, there are some mostly closer to the East Coast, to the ocean, that do. I don't hear in Montreal. I will sometimes hear a very, very faint carrier, like for a couple of them, but nothing more. Tom can pick up 11780 Brazil in Monclova, Ohio with grounding 5088 and long wire. Cool. Craig, is there a website or book that lists everyone's WDX call signs and locations? Well, the 4D. I know that for the shortwave listening call signs, their list there lists everybody. All the call signs are in that list of certificates. Bruce says that 6950 is better now. Weather tracker team, Clint, nice to have you here. What else do we have? We're going to review the Malahite CSP3. We'll see. Depends on the price and all. Simon Templar says, listening to the buzzer via QESDR in Sweden. Yes, there is music. So there's music apparently. Let me try it. It's dark outside, and it's kind of the time of the year that sometimes the buzzer does come in. I'm curious to see. I haven't heard the buzzer here in Montreal in a long time. Let's see. Nope, not a hint of the buzzer here. I think last time I heard the buzzer was almost last year. I posted a link earlier. Do I still have the link? Is that the link? Yeah, this is the link. And here you get all the call signs from the shortwave listener. It's a very, very, very long list. If you go through all of it. So anyways, for the Malahite DSP 3 or 2 or whatever, it will depend because they're expensive. And the Canadian dollar is very low right now, so it makes everything we purchase from outside extremely expensive. So who knows? Maybe we'll try to see with the donations if we can get one. Torben says, yeah, the pirate on the buzzer is named Furry. Lives in Spain. A funny guy. He speaks Russian too, so he sometimes transmits some crazy speech over the signal. Sheldon says, CIDX has a review of the new Malahite DSP in the upcoming December edition of The Messenger by Greg Majewski. So this is going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to check out. It's going to be interesting to check out. Nice to have you here, Sheldon. And you know, we're getting into this. We're early December, so there's going to be in the next few days a new messenger that's going to come out. If you guys want to check that out, the messenger is the monthly publication from the Canadian International DX Club, and at $10 a year or the the $25 for 3 years is, I think, a very, very good deal, and definitely something pretty cool. Pretty cool to be part of. You're part of a club. You're not just part of a not just, it's not just having a I'm just gonna bring up the so it's CIDX Club. If you want to have a sample copy, Sheldon, can you share all the info? I'm a little distracted here. To For everybody to get a sample copy and join the CIDX Club. Cool, WDX50. Let's try to go down here. Lost my spot. There we go. Okay. So let's go down slowly. Andrew Badinsky, nice to have you here from New South Australia. Jim Gordon, what do you use for a phone? It's a Galaxy, Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra, which is really, really an amazing phone. And I do not see any urge of changing it for anything else right now. So nice to have Simon Templar around. Radio Kadethan Gunning S350 DL is good for medium wave if you find one in good shape. Yeah, they're a little iffy though. It's like they are some of the, yeah, you know. Merscott on 8640, caught in California. Parajunak, I've been doing broadcast band DXing with my R390A and like it a lot for that. Used to use many others, but this is a gem for that application. Tubroke Tim, news and information in English anyways is gone from shortwave. All that's left is people on sideband. That's interesting because I find tons of news and information on shortwave. I listen to the 2 hours of the BBC on 25/900. I listen to the news bulletin from Vatican Radio in English, Radio France regularly, and there's a lot of other stuff. Radio Romania, Voice of Turkey, and all have Radio New Zealand. It is not gone at all. It is not what it used to be, but nope, it is not gone. That's for sure. Andy Coley, nice to have you here. 2E0REE, and I'm talking about easy reception. If you don't get those, you got to check your noise level or setup. Could be the noise level, which is the biggest problem. I'll say it all again and again. The biggest killer of shortwave is noise. Tony Poloni, nice to have you on board. Any chance you could do a post about oscilloscopes for ham operators? Yeah, I don't have one, so it's kind of difficult. If I had one, it would be nice because I could do stuff like that. But I've never actually owned an oscilloscope since I never did any serious electronics. Yeah, that could be kind of cool. Brian Weidenheimer, nice to have you on board. VA7 VEB in British Columbia. What else do we have? Matt says, I think other non-FTA digital modes might be more popular in the East. The guy who does shortwave radiogram is part of a digital net that happens early mornings, and I've checked it out via WebSDRs in Virginia. Okay. Dark Noise NL, Netherlands, as a ham novice, we can broadcast from 7,000 up to 7,200 kilohertz with 100 watts. David in Barcelona, Spain. ¿Cómo está mi amigo? Hope everything's going well. What else do we have? Torben, thanks for the answer of the recording. It is so great that sites and streams like this answers what might be a. It's not. There's no stupid questions. When you don't know, you don't know. It's like, and honestly, it's like one that comes regularly. People will get on a FT8 frequency and hear the dozens of signal altogether, which do sound very eerie and very weird. And it's they people are like, what's this? And there are no stupid questions. When you don't know, you don't know. And dozens of Morse code signals really close together at the same time kind of sound weird also. So we're happy to be here for that, Tarbin. NZHTI is from Latvia, apparently. Nice to have you here. Andrew, of course, in Australia. Take care, Dwayne. Always nice to have you on board. Marvin Moss just sent $10 US by PayPal, which took 5% profit on the exchange rate, 10% profit on the Cyrus fee. Yeah, between countries, there's all these fees. Within a country, usually there isn't. But you know what? When you do a super chat donation, it's even worse because YouTube takes 30% of all the super chat donations. So it's still better on PayPal, even though there are fees. There are services. There are services. If I miss out on anybody, please just say hello. Rob's radio channel, nice to have you on board. Thank you, Sheldon, for sharing. So sample copy, sample at cidxclub.ca. Sample at cidxclub.ca. December edition will be available in a few days. So it is going to be nice. I'm focusing this month on a couple of interesting stuff, including kind of random single channel CW or Morse code marker. Cool, Rob. It's a great phone. I love my S32 Ultra. Good. I didn't know CIDX was still going. I still have my membership certificate from way back in '76. Well, good reason to get back in. How about getting back in? Sheldon says CIDX has a up-to-date listing of English language broadcasts on Shortwave, appearing in each monthly edition. Dupu, do you happen to hear radar activity on the bands there? I got a lot of it here in Florida. I know for sure that one of them is an over-the-horizon radar, but you'll hear some that sweep a signal through the bands. Oh, yeah, definitely a lot of these appearing here. Definitely. Hey, in a minute, you guys want to try it? 6832. 6832. A Morse code Russian M12 number station. So 6832 or 6831 upper sideband. Let's see if we hear it. Let's see if we hear it. It's supposed to be there in about a minute from now at 22:20 UT exactly. So if you guys want to try it, 6832 CW or 6831 upper sideband. It's supposed to be a Morse code signal coming out of Moscow, Russia. It's a number station. KW1161, nice to have you here. What? You mean my 22 centimeter antenna is good for de-axing? Andrew just bought an old Panasonic RF BF20. Unfortunately, the sound is very faint, even with earphones. With any idea of the problem, it could be the problem. Yeah, it could be the audio amplifier having an issue. It could be dust preventing the controls to work well too. So, not hearing anything here. I don't know if any of you are hearing the number station on 6832. Maybe try a Kiwi SDR in Europe if you can't. Orbit Mods, I have 5 different scopes. In my singlet, 200 megahertz is my favorite. I used to test new transmitter and receiver circuits. Yep, you can check out the CIDX webpage at cidxclub.ca for all the info. Rob's radio channel, as I was saying today, the next Zoom will be in January. So if you participate and do a donation, everybody that donates gets into the Zoom for January. The official date will be announced, at the end of the month or early January. And we'll have a presentation. I'll have a PowerPoint that will actually discuss shortwave radio stations that are on the air today and the transmitter sites that they use and so on, a few details on each. I think it's going to be interesting, of course, and with the usual roundtable that we all participate. So just any donations from now till the January event, and you're in. So I just saw your donation. So thanks for the donation via the super chat, and you're in for January. And a link to the Zoom will be sent about 2 or 3 days before the event itself, that you can register to be there. Tristan, nice to have you here from Newfoundland. And yeah, there's been a lot of up and down. There's been a lot of geomagnetic storming going on. So the conditions are kind of up and down right now. Catalin Alm, nice to have you here from Germany. Matt says, got the Russian CW number station on the U20 SDR. Morse code is not outdated, Tubruk Tim. It's part of communications. It's a great way to send out messages. Nikki Delmage, 6832, week here in Alberta. KW1161 doesn't hear 6832. I don't hear it here on the East Coast, and it was in Montreal. CW does get through over a lot more than voice, for example. It's very effective, like a lot of you are saying. I did look at 4625 a few minutes ago. I didn't hear the buzzer and ZHDI. Shortwave Archive. Whoever makes the shortwave guide to music is really helpful. Love hearing music on the bands, including exotic music. Shen Harvey says 6832 being heard on the Ottawa Kiwi SDR. Might be that I have too much noise because I don't hear it here. Probably my noise floor. It probably is there, but then the noise. If you guys want to try it next, it's going to be on 7732 in 15 minutes from now. So we'll try that one too, 7732. John got it in the Boston area, S5. Cool. Tristan, faint signal, 6831 upper sideband. Shortwave Archive, how old is the International Radio Report? Well, the show itself is, we just had our 30, so it's in 1987. We just had our 36th anniversary. show. What was it? 2 weeks ago? Last week? 2 weeks ago? No, 2 weeks ago with a special um, a special that we posted also on YouTube with a interview with the first station manager back in the day. So Sheldon is the guy that started all of this in 1987. I've been with the International Radio Report since 2018, 17. So like 2017 is the first time I appeared on the show 6 years ago. And 2018 is when I started becoming a regular on the show. So 6 years already. It's time flies. Upstate shortwave, 6832, very weak in South Carolina. Can tell it's CW, but can only copy occasional characters. So, Jay Watterson, 69, nice to have you here. Shout out to Paul the Cat. Yeah, we're on the radio as a kid. But in my case, I wasn't there. I was in 87. What was it? In 87, I would be 16, 17, 18 years old in 87. So 18 years old. Man, time flies. It's just crazy. Ask Sheldon for all of these years of international radio reports. It's just crazy. Crazy. Let's check for the it's 39 Celsius. Oh, I'm hearing it a little bit. It's getting in a little bit now. It's going to be actually stronger in an hour here. This is when it usually is stronger. 15476 LR836 from Antarctica is starting to make it here in Montreal. And so this is the time for their broadcasts. Usually in an hour's time, I'd say at 23:30-ish is when it's going to be the strongest here. And for about an hour. Kind of cool. I can't wait for LRA36 to actually put up their new transmitters, which are going to be much more powerful. I think this is going to give us an amazing signal for sure. And it's kind of cool that there's a station in Antarctica. I've been chasing their AM radio station for a while. I see it regularly on the spotting sites, which is on when they're on the same Esperanza base in Antarctica as LRA36. But every time I see it, it's either on a frequency which doesn't propagate to me, so I don't hear it, or I just can't get through. So I'm gonna have to continue because I want to have that one. That would be my first Antarctica contact, which would be great. I mean, if there's something that doesn't happen often, is actually getting Antarctica on the handbands. So this is going to be something to check out. Let's check it out. Sometimes when the station broadcasts, they are also. Just going to check the DX spotting site here, just out of curiosity. Probably not there. Trying to find, I think the Antarctic. Let me just. Yeah, Lima 36 Zulu is the call sign, I believe. Yeah. Last time spotted December 2nd. That's today. Was at 15 UT. on 20 meters. L36 Zulu. So they've been on almost every few days, basically. 28, 30, 28 and 30 November, 1st and 2nd December. Yeah, I'm going to have to check that out. Lima 36 Zulu. Almost always an FT8, so I'm going to have to check it out. LRA 36 Radio Archangel San Gabriel. I want to try to contact those. And that'd become a lot of fun. That'd be a lot of fun to do. Robert Osborne, nice to have you here. Picked up Overcomer on 11600 today from Sofia, Bulgaria. My first signal from Bulgaria. Yeah, the good old Radio Bulgaria or Radio Sofia transmitters of the day. Sheldon, Strong Pirate on 6930. Let's check that out. 6930, 6.930. Oh, yeah. Yep. S9 plus 20, S9 plus 30 at times. Pretty strong one. And there's also a Strong Pirate. There's one on 6940. And there's one on 6950. I don't know if it's still radio free whatever. No, it's radio free whatever, I guess. But yeah, 6930 is also very strong. So 6930. There's an AM one on 6940. And there's another one, which is, I guess, radio free whatever, maybe still on 6950. KWLN61 makes it can make it out buried in the mud in Tucson, Arizona. Sheldon Harvey says it's WDOJ Pirate, and they're sending us STV sometimes. So get your slow scan TV decoding software up and running, just in case. Radio Kid, yep, 6930 in Washington, D.C. area. 9WX50, 6930, playing The Lion Sleeps Tonight, yep. Take care, and ZHTI. Go sleep. Sheldon Harvey, 6930 USB, just ID WDOJ, not playing The Lion Sleeps Tonight. Radio Kid, the 6940 AM is what's messing with the BFO on the old Sony. Yeah, 3 pirates right now. So kind of interesting. Yeah, that one was pretty strong, 6930 right now. And don't forget, guys, if you want to participate, first, if you want to help out with everything, make sure that, give a little donation, a little something. You can do it through the super chat here, or you can donate via PayPal. And everybody that donates will, of course, be invited to the Zoom meeting in January, where you we'll have a roundtable discussion. We'll have a presentation on different radio signals and radio stations, that are on the air right now on Shortwave. Have little details on them, and hope you're going to enjoy that. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and it's always a lot of fun to see our faces, because Zoom is different. Zoom is where we, gather, see who we are, and just share and have fun. It's a different experience than always, a chat room. And by the way, I want to thank everybody that donated through the show today. We got several donations through PayPal, of course, through Super Chat. And anytime you can donate either to PayPal or through the Super Tanks when you see videos. Once again, any amount, you're invited to the Zoom meeting of January. Shortwave Archive, CNR1 Jammer on 6865. Do I see it here? 6865. Yeah, you have it here. It's pretty strong too. I hear it. 6865. Definitely. I see it on 6865 here too. It's the time, it's pretty much the time right now because the gray line area at this time from the East Coast to Asia is pretty much getting there. So it's like we hear all of these jammers really, really well on so many frequencies. Dupo says, I heard Radio Romania the other week and they had a cool little lesson on learning Romanian. It always feels like an event to me when I find a broadcast that's sane. Radio Romania is one of the easy ones to listen to. And it is really, really nice to hear these broadcasts. I like their history show. It's really, really cool because they give out tidbits of how life was back in the day of the communist times in Romania. It's very, very interesting. And it's kind of nice to hear them. What is gray line? I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to fire up this little PC here, and we're going to start up a little program called Simon's World Map. I'm going to explain to you what's gray line live on the show. We're going to check it out here on the screen. Of course, I'm just going to do something here. Display settings. I'm just going to turn off the radios so that the PC actually gets the screen. So let's log in here. So I'm going to use a software called Simon World Map. And this is what it is. So you see that there's daylight and there's nighttime. Okay. And you see that there's a limit. So if I go here, you see that like there's this daylight pattern that goes through, and that transition zone where day goes to night or night goes to day, depending on if it's sunrise or sunset, is it's a place where propagation is enhanced, because when the sun rises and the sun sets, there's a reorganization of the ionosphere. So what happens is that in that area, there's kind of it's as if propagation is supercharged for some reason. And that actually is where you have chances of doing some amazing DX. So if you look at that line, when the sun sets, for example, where you are, or the sun rises, look at that line. Where does it go around the world? Everywhere around that day-night transition, you could hear something unusual. So right now, the gray line is almost halfway in North America. So if we look at the map here, North America is there, and it's just past Montreal, actually. And if you look at where it goes, you'll notice that it actually reaches China on the other side. China is waking up. They are in the morning. The sun's rising. So that gray line part there is where the sun is rising. Where the gray line here in North America is because the sun is setting. Well, that means that between us and China right now, there's kind of an open path of better propagation. That's why you're hearing that Chinese jammer on 68, 65. It's enhanced propagation from that gray line moment. And it's time to just, go around and check out different frequencies. Go on through the bands. You might notice that there's a lot of the Chinese jammers right now, and a lot of China everywhere. So this is kind of fun. An example of LR836. For me, LR836, the best time, because that gray line isn't always like that. The shape changes month after month because the Earth's angle makes it change as it actually rotates around the sun. So that gray line now, in a month from now, will be different. In 2 months from now, will be different. So that means always check the gray line, because at different times of the year, you'll have different possibilities with that gray line. For me, for example, LR836, to show you guys where it is. So I'm up here. This is Montreal. LR836 is actually right down here. Just at there's like a little part of the Antarctic the Antarctic continent that actually moves up. Right here is LR836. Now, the gray line isn't positioned for the perfect listening for me for LR836, for example. And in the month of October, that gray line was more of a vertical line than it is right now. It's very slanted. So you see it here. That slant was actually almost a straight line in October. September, October, which meant that at that time, when I had the gray line, it was going straight to the Antarctic base there, which made LR836 much stronger for me in September, October than it is now, because the gray line was actually helping out. When is that going to happen again? When we get back into February, March, April, the gray line will once again become more of a vertical line and will once again help me with LR836. So depending on the time of year, you'll hear different parts of the world better. That's the best time for especially weak signals, when you want to have signals that are very weak from a specific area. Amateur radio operators, if you want to really do some DX, always look at the gray line. This is the time, for example, for me, where Japan is good. So like about an hour ago, the gray line would have been really over Montreal pretty much, and would have been over Japan. And actually, I make, when I look at the bands and at this time of year, around this time, this is the time for Japan contacts. I hear Japan all over the place on the amateur bands. And of course, like I said, that shifts through the year, because depending on what month you are, that is not always exactly the same. The shape changes. And now, right now, the amount of daylight in the North Pole, the North Hemisphere, is actually much smaller than the amount of, look at the amount of darkness. Look how large darkness is. That's why our nights are actually long. And look at the Southern Hemisphere. It's the other way around. The Southern Hemisphere is bathed in a daylight and doesn't have a lot of darkness. So that shifts around. In the summertime in North America, this is reversed. We have a lot more daytime and a lot less nighttime. So it's really a lot of fun to check out, because it can actually help you with some of the DX stations, some of the rare stuff that you get. So it's really, really cool. It's a great way to help out and make sure that you hear even more signals. Blogger Die, very nice signal from LR836 outdoors with the Texan PL990 and a 20 feet wire up a tree, Central Virginia. Sergeant Rock, nice to have you on board. Thank you so much from the Paradise Hawaii Highlands, 73. And Joseph, yep, Gray Line is very, very cool for propagation. And that's why at certain times you'll hear more stuff, like right now, if you tune the bands, you'll hear a lot of China. If there's a lot of the jammers on and the CRI on and the China radio on the different international broadcast bands and even outside with all the jammers, it's the time to hear a lot of China. But as that gray line moves, you'll see that it's going to fade away. And in an hour and a half from now, all of that will be gone until tomorrow. So what else do we have? Ben Toys, hi Shortwave God, just sent you something through PayPal, then sent you an email. That should show my email address, I think. Yep, perfect. You'll be part of the Zoom meeting in January. Shortwave Orca, that's why I get a bunch of China in the 16-meter band at sunset. Yep, it's part of it is because of the gray line. And you'll notice that the gray line has this transition zone. About an hour before to an hour after it is where it's all happening, then fades away. It's part of the coolness of radio here. Upstage SWL, take care. Have a good supper. David Snyder, nice to have you on board. And try, I don't know if you'll hear it. You can try, David. We're trying your LRA 36 from Antarctica right now on 15476 upper sideband. 15476 upper sideband. So yeah, the sun will come up tomorrow unless some unfortunate event. Radio Kid LRA 36 is 15476. Yep. But you got a ground, I guess, for 50. It is an upper sideband, so you need really to have a single sideband Radio Kid to hear it. No, wrong radio. Welcome back, Richard. What else do we have? What is gray line in Canada during the sunrise? Well, depending on where you are. So at the sunrise, the gray line will give you a different path. So the best way is to look at a map. You could go online, by the way, if you don't. I use Simon World Map here. But if you want to see, there's this night and day map. A website called Time and Date. Sorry, they have the that map of day night and you can check it out here. It's always kind of a live map if you want. So this is going to give you that transition. And like I said, it's not always the same. Depending on what time of year, it will be different. So you can go to this website and see the where what we call the terminator, which is the difference, the area where the day and night actually changes, where that gray line area is. And you can jump. Actually, if you jump 12 hours, you can see that on that map on the bottom. Just click 12 hours and you're going to see now the gray line of sunrise in the east coast of North America matches a lot of what's happening in parts of China again, but a little more to the west of it. Even like it's perfect for Australia, for example. That also is one of the reasons why a lot of us had some great reception of sometimes of Radio Australia back in the day. The gray line often matched perfectly between North and North America and Australia. Kamikaze 1976. Nice to have you here. David Snyder has nothing on 15476. So yeah, it has to be an upper sideband. Yeah. Brian says I can hear light audio on 15476. Kevin Michael, shortwave Radio Australia is on 2310 kilohertz at night. That's a tough one for North America. Brett Wayne, 15476 is S3 in New York State. Shortwave archive, saved to my bookmark bar. So like that, you know when the gray line is. So the idea behind it is once the gray line is over where you live, roughly check where it's hitting around the world. Good evening, John in Tampa, Florida. Nice to have you here. It's kind of nice to... Radio Kid, Sony ICF 2002 whip is getting a very weak something on 15476, not discernible. Sony forces you on 15475, and you use the BFO. Yeah, you use the BFO to yeah, it's a tough one, David. Maybe you have a little too much noise, maybe, or because it's even here in Montreal, it's not very strong right now. So typically, what I do when we talk about propagation, when I do ham radio, I always keep the map up because I put the radio screen there for the purpose of you guys seeing it when I do the live show. But when I'm alone, that little screen here on the FTD X10 is enough for me. So most of the time, what I'll do is I'll fire up the software on the little laptop here, the little mini PC. Somebody asked me, by the way, if what it was. Actually, this is an Asus curved screen, 24-inch, and underneath it's a B-Link Windows 10 mini PC, which is right here. This is the PC. It's a small little box. So I love these little mini PCs. Actually, there's the one that's streaming right now is another mini PC. It's more powerful than that one, but it's also a B-Link mini PC. I love those. Very small. Plug it on your big screen, and you got a powerful PC to do everything you want. It's even with that I record the International Radio Report show. So it's kind of cool. Doesn't take a lot of space, and so that one running Windows 10. The one that I'm using for streaming is running Windows 11, and they're just great. Take care, Art. Stay safe. K2ADC. Kevin Michael, Radio Australia was always on at sunset in California back in the day. Yeah. Chrissy, nice to have you here from rainy Portland. Brian. Yeah, it's Antarctica, but it's the Argentinian base in Antarctica, Brian, on 15476. They will often ID in Spanish as sometimes RAI, Radio Nacional, or Radio Argentina Nacional or Exterior, or remember the exact wording they use on the LRA 36 in Spanish. And I have a Morse code ID regularly. But it's actually in Argentina, but in the Antarctic base, just below it, pretty much. So it's pretty cool. In the Antarctic station. So they're going to get better because they're going to have, I think it's a 10 kilowatt transmitter they're getting, which right now they're at 1 kilowatt. And in 2024, they're installing a 10 kilowatt transmitter, which means it should actually be better. It's going to be interesting to see when they install it. And it's kind of cool to know that they are actually, upgrading all of that. It's kind of fun. Shortwave archive, listening to 8:30 WCCO when the geomagnetic storm was to hit 11 at night, and all AM stations in the Midwest were gone. Yep, that is also a time to listen for anything exotic that comes to the south of you. So if in North America a geomagnetic storm hits, usually it wipes out the AM band for local stuff. But you'll notice that you might hear stations in Spanish. You might hear some Cubans. You might hear some Mexico. You might hear some Central South America. It's the best time to DX those. Very often they come in and you're like, wow. One of the best here in Montreal, because of CJ80, it's impossible almost. But one of the easiest, the one from Bonaire, Transworld Radio Bonaire, 800 kilohertz. When a geomagnetic storm hits, and you have 800 kilohertz quiet, try it for Bonaire because it might actually make it. It's one of the easy ones actually on in the Caribbean. Mike WS50, listening to the QESDR in Tipton County, Tennessee, and I'm getting 15476 shows signal noise ratio. I'm guessing that's a good signal to noise ratio. It's pretty good. Yep. You want to have a big difference when you're listening to a station. Glenn Zeckman, nice to have you here from University of Cincinnati Medical Center. Hope you are well. David Snyder, 11780. Yep, this is Brazil. If you don't hear it on the SDR 1A, you have too much noise, because you should hear it on the SDR Play SDR Play 1A. Yeah, it should come as well as your PL 880. So you probably have too much noise, maybe a lot of noise coming from the computer. No, Rai Italy, that's another station that's not long gone. That was the radio, Italian radio and television. This is RAE, Radio Argentina Exterior, or something like that, that they kind of ID with. Sheldon RV, yeah, it's a CNR1 jammer on 6865, Sheldon. It's the CNR1 jammer. That's over, I think, the Taiwan station. We were monitoring it a little earlier, coming in with the gray line. Brian, okay, confirmed. Totally copyable. Just switching my needle. Cool. It's always fun to hear stuff like that. D. Matthews, nice to have you here, and thank you for the donation. Much appreciated. And of course, yep, it is Sheldon, is the jammer. The TWR Bonaire is on the medium wave, 800 kilohertz medium wave, Kev Michael. It's not on shortwave anymore. It's been gone for a long time. But they are on 800 kilohertz medium wave in the Caribbean. So it's kind of cool. Bruce was out doing chores. You missed tons of things. Get Michael, 1010 kilohertz CBC, Calgary, Ontario, Canada is coming in on the Ethon Field Radio at 10 p.m. Here on the East Coast, we have, it's kind of a, 1010 is kind of a war. It's either CFRX Toronto or WINS that kind of battle it out. One night is one, the other night is the other, or sometimes they just kind of, fade in, fade out each other. It's kind of interesting. Erwin, Last time we spoke, I said I was doing my amateur radio exam. I completed on 23rd and passed. I'm waiting my confirmation of call sign applied. I wish to QSO with you at some stage soon. Cool. Cool, Erwin. Congratulations. Okay, Michael remembers Radio Paradise, Nevis and St. Kitts, 8:30. Yeah. Yeah, Transworld Radio, Swaziland. They're still on, by the way. Transworld Radio is a very reduced schedule, but you can still get Transworld Radio. Well, actually, Estawini, because it's now Estawini and not Swaziland anymore. It'd be kind of cool. You know what? I just thought it'd be kind of cool maybe to try it again. Maybe kind of cool to try it again. I wonder if they change their card for Estawini rather than Swaziland. The Rorex. Oh yeah, that transmitter in Bonaire is definitely very, very powerful. Thank you, Sheila, for the donation once again. You will be part of our Zoom if you wish to be part of it in January. It will be kind of fun. Chastang says a lot of buffering. Anybody else buffering? Yeah, Swaziland does not exist anymore as a country name. So Matt doesn't have any buffering, so it could be local to you. So Swaziland changed its name to Eswatini. Sorry, I was the wrong wording. Eswatini. 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 And Eswatini, formerly the Kingdom of Eswatini, and it was also known by its former official name of Swaziland. So that is what happened. I don't remember the year they made the change, but Eswatini has changed like something like in 2018 or something. So Swaziland is not officially a country anymore. It's Eswatini. So no buffering for most people. So I guess it's local. David Snyder is 9690 Radio Exterior de España. Yep. And by the way, guys, if you miss Spain for the next few days, they are going to be, we're going to talk about it on the International Radio Report tomorrow. They are, because of a power cut at the power station, they won't be on the air for a few days. December 6, 7, 8, 9, something like that. I don't remember the exact dates. But if this week you don't hear them, don't panic. They're going to be off for a few days. When the power comes back, they're going to be back on. So David Snyder, what is the Zoom you're talking about? What day and time? So I have a new thing, David, for anybody that does a donation to the show, either through this super chat or through PayPal, which I will share once again. You are automatically invited to a Zoom meeting in January. So we do this every 2 months, and it's for all the people that contribute to the show. And in January, we'll have that Zoom meeting where we, of course, have a roundtable discussion and see each other, which is kind of a lot of fun. Also, I'll have a presentation on some of the shortwave stations that are on the air today. So all of that coming up in somewhere mid to late January. We'll have to check the schedules with the CIDX schedules to make sure that everything's all right, and I don't choose a date that there's already something going on. So it's for all the people that help out on the channel and donate a little something. Um, Turbo Tim, 161 watching, only 84 likes. Hit the button. So Sheldon says 19 April 2018, the Kingdom of Swaziland has been renamed the Kingdom of Eswatini. So that's exactly it. Let me just go back. Okay, Chrissy Freitas says, I'm curious what reception is possible tonight if the solar storm is still affecting the northern hemisphere tonight. Sadly, it was too cloudy to see any auroras here in Oregon last night. In general, when you are at the north part, the closer you are to the pole, so people that are like here in Canada, we're more affected than a lot of the US states. But it depends because if you look at the shape of Canada and the US, the way it is, it depends where you are. Usually, you got to take into account if there's a geomagnetic storm hitting. On shortwave, usually what it does, it will I kind of fade out east-west coming signals. So, stations like Radio Romania might not be there or very, very weak. But anything coming from the south usually is kind of enhanced. So, for example, all the Brazilians like Radio Doce Amor and all these different Brazilians on 31 and 25 meters that might sometimes be very weak to you might actually be better tonight. So that's one thing. And on medium wave, check for, because if there's a geomagnetic storm, most of the local AM stations we hear at night, they're kind of washed out, don't hear them anymore. But there could be a lot of enhancements from Caribbean stations in Spanish or different languages, but stations on AM from the Caribbean, South America. So it's a very interesting. It's when I see somebody say, oh well, geomagnetic storming, I'm not going to turn on the radio. Actually, tune it on. You might be very surprised at what you're going to hear that you might never hear sometimes. It might be better than it is most of the time. You might be tuning in one of the Brazilians, for example, that is always too weak, but suddenly because of that, it's much better tonight. So there's all sorts of things like that that are that can happen. It's worth tuning around when it happens because you really could be very surprised at um, what you can hear. Usually it enhances, like I said, north south signals are better. East west are the ones that are much more of a problem. By the way, I see Mike WX50, I hear something new every day. So I don't know if their QSL cards have actually been upgraded to Eswatini. That'd be kind of worth maybe getting a QSL from TWR. They're still on shortwave a few times a day. So you can still monitor Transworld Radio Eswatini. Kev Michael, ELWA was on from Swaziland on 4010 back in the day too. Yeah, now they're still on the air, by the way. ELWA from Liberia. They are on. I've heard them. I think it was last spring. I heard them. They have a broadcast that starts at 0557 UT up to 10 hours UTC from Liberia, 6050. And they also have 17 to 2232 on 6050 in English. So that could be worth checking out. Liberia is still on shortwave with that station. So that could be interesting to monitor. Kevin Upton, nice to have you on board. And says, thank you for keeping the Saturday radio streams going on YouTube. Cool. Shortwave archive. Wish I could see something like the 80s when the Radio Moscow service ended. The transmitters would carry local Russian stations and Radio Vilnius. Yep. Lots of stuff back in the day. Kevin says Southeast Michigan here. There's a faint 15476 running in ICOM IC 705 with a diamond discount D3000 strapped to a 10-foot fence pole. Brian Penny, nice to have you on board from Cape Cod. And yeah, not very strong, but it's there. It's definitely there. 15476. What else do we have? KW1161 says Radio Antarctica is fading into Tucson, Arizona currently. So pretty cool. MDK2 getting 15476 weekly, but definitely there. RSPDX MLE30. John Luhid, nice to have you here from Alaska. Nice to have you on board. Thanks, David. You'll be part of the Zoom in January. I'll be sending the link. I need your email if you ever, I think you sent me an email before, but just in case, guys, once again, do send me an email at officialshortwaveradio@gmail.com and tell me that you made a donation so that I have your email so I can send the link to the Zoom meeting in January. So thanks, David, for donation. Sheldon, there's a high-speed CW VVV marker on 6825. Can't find a listing for it. 6825. I am hearing it very faint, though. I'm hearing it very, very faint. 6825. I have a listing of something here. 6809, the channel marker V. Interesting. I do hear it very faint. I wonder what it could be. Huh. That's interesting. I'm going to check out something here. That's interesting. Let me just check it out. There's something I could check out here on. I've got a listing of books. Let me check out the yeah. The LR836 is sending Morse code right now. That's LR836 on 15476 identifying itself. Shortwave. Just check something on that. If I can find a little something on that Morse code signal here. I don't know. Trying to check it out here. Don't find any info on it. It's going to be interesting. I'm going to have to check out if I see anything about that Morse code station. Huh. Geomagnetic storm is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get, says Sheila. Free speech matters. I have an SDR play and a basic radio set. Why do some radios and web SDRs only allow the user to tune into certain frequency bands, ranges, and so on? In terms of the radios themselves, it's mostly a technical thing. They just didn't, put all the parts, because a lot of radios have a limited shortwave range. Most of the ones that have limited shortwave range have a limited coverage because they're not single sideband. So the manufacturer might limit to where the international broadcast bands are, because that's pretty much the only thing you're going to listen to. But some have a complete coverage. That's really mostly just design. Somebody somewhere said, yeah, it's AM mode only. Let's put just the international broadcast band range. Forget about the rest. And there are some online radios that you might tune in some countries that might have a limited range of frequencies that you tune. And that could be because of local regulations. So there could be some places around the world where their local laws prevent you from listening to certain frequencies. That happened a lot with scanner radios. Depending on the country you would buy it, there would lock out some parts of the bands, because depending on the country you are, maybe regulations, laws are telling you, well, you're not allowed to listen to this range. Just like in the US, when they passed these ridiculous laws of, preventing us from hearing, cell phone frequencies and things like that. It's like it's so ridiculous, because they passed a rule, and that era of analog cell phone was anyways going away. It's like just a waste of time, basically. And that rule is actually useless today, because there's no more cell phones there. So it's kind of dumb, but some countries will have these regulations sometimes. But for the radio themselves, when you buy them, especially like in Canada and the United States, if you buy a shortwave radio, if it doesn't have the full spectrum, it has nothing to do with laws. It just has to do with the fact that they designed it that way, and that's it. Ricky, Radio New Zealand was amazing last night on 13755. And that's part of sometimes the possibility of um, the solar activity when there's geomagnetic storm. Remember, New Zealand is a north-south signal pretty much for us, so that might be enhanced, and you might have enjoyed actually a Radio New Zealand even stronger than usual because of that. Always worth tuning during a solar storm, definitely. Mickey says LRA 36 booming into Alberta now. Now, look at Alberta on a map, which is right here. And look at where the gray line is getting close to Argentina. They're getting a really strong signal, because in Alberta, they're actually better placed than I am for a gray line propagation from Antarctica to the West Coast. Actually, the whole West Coast is going to, in the next hour, get probably an amazing signal from LRA 36, because they're in gray line. It's a gray line path between both sections. So that's why it's better in the West Coast than the East, because that's what's favored now. Cool, Ventoys. Tristan, good signal from Radio Romania 7220 into Western Newfoundland on the MLA 30. So let's check it out here, 7220. 7.220. Yeah, not bad. Not bad of a signal. It's not super strong, but it's there. It's definitely there. Radio Romania 7220. Sheldon 6825 on an internet search says French military number station. Oh, yeah, that's possible. I've heard that a few times. They even have that station actually even has Morse code lessons for the military, the French military. It's a known frequency for also lessons. It's kind of funny. Yeah, I've heard that a long time ago. I'm not sure if it's that's the frequency I've heard it, but I've heard that station a few times, and probably on different frequencies too. Kevin Michael, Radio New Zealand on 1503 Wellington, North Island is on at night with some interference from stations on 1500 from Hawaii. Brian, 15476 now with CW message and greetings. Solari 36 CW coming in great in Tucson, Arizona. No problem. Free speech matters. Kevin Michael, remember when they tried to block the 800 with you'd cut a diode? Yeah. My Pro 2006. I remember opening it up and cutting that little diode to get the analog cell bands. Sheldon RV, info says 6825, parallel 3881. Yep, for military training purposes. Yeah, that's what I remember. They were part of it is having Morse code lessons for the military. Real Radio Kids, CW can be out of modern standards if there are still lessons for the military. So it's kind of cool. So, hey guys, been on for 3 hours and 20 minutes. I know this is the phrase you guys hate. I'm starting to get hungry. I have some chicken to cook. And I've got a lot of stuff to do tonight. I got to edit the International Radio Report to make sure that it's ready for tomorrow and do the YouTube version. So it'll be a radio night for me. I'm going to be on the radio everywhere. I'll be posting stuff on the Facebook group. And if anything interesting happens, and working on my stuff at the same time. So it's really, really cool. So I want to thank everybody once again for being here. Thank you to all the people that contributed today via PayPal or via the super chat. Much appreciated. It helps this continue. And it is really, really great to have you guys around. So the next show is, I tell you, December 23rd. Santa is here. Saturday, December 23rd at 20 hours UTC is the next show. Santa is going to be here. So remember, that's going to be the next show. So hope that you guys can join in to Santa show coming up and have a great time. See you on the December 23rd. And then after that, of course, the show will be first Saturday of January. So take care, guys. See you on December 23rd. And once again, the real Santa is going to be here. So take care, guys. Stay safe. Love you all. And see you soon. Bye, my friends.